Thank you everyone for being here. My name is Raveen. I am the CEO and founder of Hello Hire. We are a candidate engagement platform powered by AI, typically used for high volume hiring. I am joined here with Sherry from TelAffects. Sherry, I'd love to hear a quick intro from your side.
Sure. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. My name is Sherry Gillette. I am with TelAffects. We are an outsourced provider of inside sales and customer service. We're a boutique firm based in Lake Mary, Florida. And really, our specialty is high value consultative sales as well as complex customer service solutions. And I have been with TelAffects for the last 12 years. I've been in the BPO space for over 30 years and spent a 22-year stint at Alorica previous to TelAffects. And so I'm very grateful to be here and to see all of you and enjoy this time together.
Thanks, Sherry. And I'm very familiar with Alorica, and obviously you are, but maybe for some of the others that don't know about Alorica, can you tell us a little bit about that org?
Yeah, absolutely. Alorica is a really large, big box firm that provides customer service. My role at Alorica was in the B2B division. And so we got purchased by Alorica at some point. And I was responsible for operations and training for the business division years back, and I left there in 2012.
So no stranger to customer service and sales. It sounds like inbound and outbound or primarily outbound. Um, Talk to us a little bit about the landscape of agents that or representatives that you've been working with through your 30-year career, right? Yeah, tell us a little bit more about the types of people and what you look for.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's certainly we have a sales and a service division within our organization. And it is a different candidate really for both sides. There's some commonality, but there also is a very different candidate that, on the sales side, different level of confidence, different level of ability to reach high-end decision makers on a cold call. And then on the service side, more wanting to help, wanting that call to come into them. But ultimately the ability to have a consultative dialogue and needs dialogue, understand what's happening, whether the person's called in or you've called them outbound, and be able to upsell even on the customer service side. So there's some sales elements on both sides. You're really just looking for that person who's worked in a call center environment as well.
Right.
Because, if you've done inside sales and been with one org and you actually are working that product that your company offers, it's a different environment. And so, we want those that have been in this type of environment really are a good match for us and have some customer service sales background to come in.
So you usually look for some experience in customer service and sales. And what types of qualities do you look for in candidates? And has that changed from, 10 years ago to now?
Sure, it's changed a lot even over the last couple of years, for sure. I mean, ultimately, we want someone with excellent communication skills, that ability to have that very high quality dialogue, and to understand business if they're doing the outbound work, to know kind of the structure hierarchy of companies and, to be able to reach high level decision makers. And really a family culture. We are a boutique firm and we have very strong values. That's important too. I think over the last few years after COVID, we've really, had to hone in on those that are resilient.
Right.
I think resilience is a big key for us, and it's hard to do in an interview and figure out. But some folks just really have a hard time holding down a job that maybe didn't even previous to that, to COVID because of just anxiety and things that are happening in their life. And we really work hard to help our team. We do a lot of training around that as well. But really asking questions around their commitment to their last job, their ability to be there, their looking for that longevity, because assuming that longevity, hoping that that has something and that they were able to come to work all the time and to get there, because it's just a different world today. There's a lot of anxiety. So there's elements of recruiting that I have never put in place in my 30 years that, we're working towards today. It's a lot harder.
I I see that every day.
Yes.
And I empathize. Like it's definitely a tougher, harder market to recruit in. And and TelAffects is an onshore company and I
Correct.
believe remote, and this is by intention. Can you tell me a little bit more about that decision and then the why and what that means for recruitment?
Absolutely. So previous to COVID, we had about 50% of our team that worked from home, and that was something you earned based on performance. And then as we started to grow the team, March of 2020, we all went home, just as I think every organization did. And our performance did not waver.
Hmm.
Our team loves being at home. We do love still to be connected, and we've had to find a lot of ways to do that virtually and build that into our culture, and always are still looking to improve that. But everybody went home, and we saw our performance just continue to excel. And so we made a decision, to be 100% work at home, and it really makes a difference in our candidate recruiting. There's a lot of organizations that are going back to work. We hear a lot in our interviews that the reason why I'm attracted to you, I'll take a couple dollars less even
Right.
from my current job so that I can be at home. And we hear that a lot. And so it is a big factor in our recruiting process as well.
Right. And I mean, it sounds like for good reason, right? So you're attracting a lot more candidates that are looking for the work from home lifestyle. And predominantly or across the US, I believe maybe certain states, all states or certain states, if
Certain states are
right.
as dictated by our clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. And so of course that like brings new challenges and can you talk to me about some of the recruitment challenges that came out of being remote hiring, remote job across various states of the US? What are some of the challenges that surfaced with this new model of work?
Technology was a big factor, right? We use Google Meet. We were attempting to use traditional ways to reach people, and post the ad in Indeed and go through. And I mean, we get 2,000 candidates in a day. Sometimes we get 2,000 candidates in a couple hours,
Wow.
on the customer service side, especially. And so, just working through that, getting cherry picking through whatever we could, and, sending out email and making a phone call and attempting to connect with them, and having all of that time after you've spent a ton of time already reviewing to see which ones you should be sending that to. And just then getting them on technology, they're using their phone, they're in all different places, they can't, Google doesn't work, they don't have a Gmail, so they're all of that was happening. And so you couldn't accomplish what you wanted to. We didn't get a chance to see them in their home office at
Right.
times, because they would use their phone to get, because they had, Google could work on their phone but maybe not on
Right.
their computer. It just, all of that's technology challenges for sure.
And and again, because you're hiring a remote workforce, and this might not be applicable to everyone on the call, but the work environment, the internet speed, was that something that now
Yeah.
was something you're also assessing and evaluating, right? For
Yes,
each. Okay, and
absolutely.
so like you said, that added another layer of screening or finding fit. It wasn't just the person and the personality and where they're located, but it's
Yep.
also their work environment. Do they have a
Yes.
secure space to
Yes.
work?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And I kind of like the story, But how did you hear about Hello Hire? Like, where did this even, how did this come across your desk?
Yeah, so you sent an email to our president and CEO, and the subject line was, are you hiring in 1999? What was the specific one, Ravine?
I think it was like,
Um,
stop hiring
Still
like it's
hiring.
1999.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's it. And it drew her attention to forward it to me. And so there were a couple things that really stood out was just streamlining the process so greatly. That was significant. And as an organization that touts the ability to reach your prospects on the sales side, salespeople cherry pick through their database and only get, only call the ones that they want to. So we as an organization, have a process and a structure in place to reach all their prospects. That also came across in the email that you sent to us, that we're missing out on candidates because we're just cherry picking and we just don't have enough time to go through that. And then our interview process, our first interview was all about pre-screening. And so all we're doing is, do you have a home office? Do just going through all the pre-screen questions. And so it really drew our attention that this could speed up the hiring process. It was taking us 3 to 4 weeks to fill 2 classes of 50 to 60 people and 3 recruiters. And one of the things that you shared with me initially was that I'm missing a whole group of people that don't even want to go through my process, that maybe are passive candidates, that just want something quick and easy to get in, or they're not going to do it. And that all has been true. So those were the things that drew our attention to it.
Totally. And so I like to expand on that a little bit because I think this is a point that everyone knows and understands and feels, but it's always worth saying, which is, when we're hiring and recruiting, any friction that we put in the process is absolutely going to deter our best prospects, because the candidates that are excited, eager, qualified, and want to work are going to be sought after not by one, two, but 10, 20 other employers. And it's a race to connecting with that individual, right? And so when we believe we're adding screening friction to funnel a shorter list of candidates, what we actually end up doing is turning away the best ones. And I think this was the conversation. And I remember the challenge. I said, invite everyone to an interview or engage with everyone. And when I said that, do you remember how you felt or what your first thought was?
I had just been advised to create as many friction steps as possible from another consultant. And so I mean, it was extreme on the other side. And so when you shared that, my biggest concern was that I would get unqualified candidates, that this, self-selecting pre-screening process and we would be sitting there in a teledoc environment, where people are coming at us that just aren't qualified. And so, as I shared with you, that was my concern, but that did not come to fruition. We saw as qualified of candidates as we saw when we hand selected and spent all of that time when we made the pre-screening appropriate. There's a lot of pieces to put in there, not hard, super easy.
Right.
The system is so easy to use. Nobody really needs training. You can go in there and figure it out yourself. But putting all those pieces in place allowed us to just not do that, get those candidates, and really just change the way we recruited, the timing that we recruited. Um, Everything that we did just changed based on using this new process. And we were able to get candidates. We could put an ad in Indeed Monday morning, and we could fill our recruiting team member who's on this call, fill her calendar in the afternoon, and for a couple days later, just super quickly, people could apply and they could have the link to Hello Hire within minutes. I mean, that happened. And so we no longer were we posting big ads on a Friday because everybody looks Saturday, Sunday, and then trying to come in and work through those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then get to them later. we're actually getting to those candidates. And then we could turn Indeed on and turn it right off. Take what we had, get the candidate algorithm that we had. One of the first things I did was I invited a lot of people, and I had a lot of people say, there's no more time slots. And so I had to work that appropriately too and learn more about that. And that was okay because I could get them in the future, but I wanted to manage that appropriately too for candidate experience. And so absolutely, I, didn't know whether it would work. I believed you, and I'm so glad I did because it absolutely has worked phenomenally for us.
Thank you. Yeah, I get that response from leaders often, which is and sometimes a pale blank face of like, what? That's crazy. That sounds wild. But it does, and again, it delivers the result, which if you want the result, you got to try things a little bit differently. And people like you, Sherry, have tried that and seen seen a different result. Um, can you speak to the results actually? So, doing things differently, um, embracing technology, automation, and AI, what what was the end result that you were able to see?
So much more than I ever thought. First, it allowed us to cut our recruiting team from 3 individuals to one. So significant savings in salary and benefits. It allowed us to hire. It was taking us 3 to 4 weeks, and now max 2 weeks. Most of the time, we've got a group hired between 7 to 10 days of 60 people. I mean, significant. Speed to hire is just phenomenal. That candidate experience and the feedback from the candidate is significant as well. The ability to use the video and have them be delivered and overschedule and set that algorithm is amazing. The reporting is just a simple chart that just gives you everything that you need and just can guide you as you go and help you set up that algorithm. The video that people see as they come in, and then the other videos that are there as they're waiting, allow people to know a lot more about the job prior to the time of getting there. That pre-screen, again, I just made it tighter and tighter and tighter as we went along, and the candidates just got better. I put very strong things like, if you don't have this on your resume, we will cancel your upcoming appointment. And people, really went through that and trusted that that was going to happen, and they were the right candidates. And the end, it was a huge speed to hire piece. Our team loves it. The recording that we're able to create, and in the past we would be recording the interview in Google Meet, we'd send that over. It was hard to send that over. We had to write up all of our notes and share and give tips. Now AI writes all the notes, and it gives us great tips and tools of what to ask next, what was missing, what maybe was really great, and what you want to explore further. We can just forward that directly to the hiring manager from recruiting and save so much time there, and just gets that foundation there as well. And so just across the whole piece of it, speed to hire, savings, ease of use, our internal team loves it, and the candidates love it.
Wow, that's that's
Wow.
a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Um, no, I hope that there's some skepticism from the crowd. So when we get some questions, we can kind of address them because again, what you're saying sounds impossible or unreal, and it's often the reaction I'm usually met with when we introduce it for the first time. So no, that's amazing. And how is the AI? So you've had a chance to kind of work with the AI. Tell us a little bit more about the AI and how it's helped.
It's incredible. I mean, the way that the summary comes is very, very accurate. And then the way that the AI senses when someone isn't giving enough detail around a subject, and the things that it calls out. And it's just written in just amazing how quickly that comes. I realize that's AI, but just the ability to be able to use that. You don't have to watch the whole recording in order to be able to go to your next call. My hiring managers are crazy busy, And so, it's long enough just to get them scheduled on interviews because they're missing out on their day to day. So the AI piece of it has changed that. They're able to look at that and really sense and dive in deeper in the areas that they need to based on that without spending a lot of time reviewing it.
Yeah, I always feel, and I see this all the time, but the AI is scarily accurate. It
Yes, it
boggles
is.
my mind every
Me too.
time. I'm like, wow, this is pretty amazing.
It really
Um,
is.
and and Sherry, through this process, through this transition, I think you've fine-tuned your, how you operate. Can you tell, and you touched on it a little bit, but can you tell me
Yeah.
what types of things have you kind of learned and fine-tuned as you went through this process?
Yeah. The pre-screen was a big thing because, we just kind of put the general questions out there and yes or no without a lot of detail. And we learned that some of the candidates that were coming through would say they had this experience and then they didn't. It wasn't that common, but it was enough that we knew if we make that more solid, the more solid it is, and then the piece of that is that then I don't have, my recruiter just going through, you said you could work this schedule. Is that still okay? Just
Mm,
going through all those things because we haven't put them through the pre screen. Now we know and can quickly move into more qualified questions in that early phase before we send them on to the hiring manager. And I think that's a big thing that we learned. That video, too, I think the more candid you can be in that video about the job,
right.
almost our job is hard. I think some people think that they can come work at home and get what do they call those lazy girl jobs now? This isn't a lazy girl job. This is a hard job, and calls are coming at you all the time. And if you need to get up, you pretty much have to do that extremely quickly and get right back to your computer to answer calls. And so, we want them to know that. We don't want that to be a surprise, and we don't want you to come through the interview process if that doesn't work for you. So, the video and the pre screen, I think, were significant. And then the timing. We learned that Fridays were horrible. So for us, for whatever we're doing, our Fridays were not the best time to kind of put this out and schedule because we would have more no-shows. So we really worked on the Monday through Thursday schedule, and we cut down on those no-shows because it's immediate. I mean, I could apply for the job and then I get the Hello Hired link. I go in, I qualify myself, I look at all of that, and then I have an interview at 1 p.m. I applied at 11 a.m. And your no shows cut down when that happens. Whenever we had issues with more no shows, it was because we didn't stick with the process as we should. And so we really started to learn that and even, continue to learn today and just make changes and adjustments that help us greatly.
That's awesome. And two other kind of questions that I get all the time, and I'm just curious to hear your point of view. Um, is it hard for candidates? What's the candidate? Do you need to be like a tech savvy individual? Like, what's the experience for candidates like, and from a tech perspective and a experience perspective, and then maybe something and similar from your side and for your recruiters. Like, what was the lift like for setting this up?
Yeah. It's super easy to set up and to, sign in and look at what it is and get the interviews coming. And certainly, recruiters like their process to be consistent and are resistant. And there definitely were some panic moments within our team that, what are we doing here and why are we doing it? But once we were able to get in and actually use it and see the benefits of it, everybody internally loves it. And from the Canada experience, I've got so much feedback for other vendors who do similar things like this. It's like, I did this, and, I can't believe how much easier this process is. And so, what I really love about it too is that the candidate and I build relationships because the emails come to me on the page. If somebody wants to ask a question or they're struggling with something or they couldn't get an interview because the slots were full, they send those notes to me and they're super impressed that I respond right away and I monitor that when we're active. And so that's another part is to when you're active, and somebody's got to be, doing that. A couple people have to really stay on that in order to make this work. Because just like anything else, if you're not responding to candidates and getting them scheduled quickly, you're going to lose them. And so the feedback from the candidates was phenomenal. I mean, there were some technology issues, but nothing like you do when you try to use a proprietary technology. And the overscheduling, having people come in and just fill that time, no wasted time, is significant as well.
Sherry, thank you for sharing your experience with us and telling us about your story and your journey with AI and automation. Really appreciate your time and insight. Was curious to see if there's any questions in the room. Feel free to put your questions in the chat. From Jake, I'm curious, was it difficult to go from not using AI tools to using AI? It seems like it may be a lot of change to deal with. Sherry.
Yeah, not for us. I mean, it was like we just came from 1999. Just the fact that you could have that summary in that way just streamlined our process so greatly. I think I said to Ravine, uh, it's scarily, accurate, and and how, you wonder how it's even able to do what it does in that short amount of time. But it wasn't something that everybody was so excited to see it and adopt it that it wasn't a challenge for us.
And we as a technology provider do our best at putting stuff in that you don't have to think about, so stuff happens for you. And so we try our best to give you the power without you having to think about it.
Yes.
Um, there's another question, Sherry. Do you plan on using this platform with more roles in your organization?
It needs to be high volume. I mean, I think that's a key thing. If you try to use this in roles that are not high volume, I mean, it can work. It can help you. I still love to use the platform. I'd say where we're going next with it is we are doing our second interviews outside of Hello Hire, and we've talked with Ravine and Jess and team about how we can put our second interviews in here and make the best use of that as well. And then get the AI advantage and all of that, for all of our history that we need to keep. And so that's probably the next place that we will go with it. But I think, would caution you not to use it for something that's not high volume, where you're hiring, a significant number of people.
Yeah, and we're doing our actual, like, we're doing our best to try to evolve the platform in a way that can support other types of hiring. And so we wouldn't recommend it is if you're, looking for an executive or a very hard to find professional, where you have to really nurture a relationship to have that conversation. But the reality is if you have any type of job where you are getting a large number of applicants, so you could even be hiring one person, but if you get a couple hundred applicants, um, you can use the platform to get to the top applicants quickly. And one of our reasons for putting out this free plan is to allow employers, recruiters, anyone that is doing one job, to get the value from the platform. So you don't have to be high volume, although that's where you'll get the most value. When you have to, multiple roles of, multiple people for a position is where you'll see the most value.
Makes sense.
Another question must be for me, is there a limit to applicants? So in our plans where you have, it's a monthly fee, like the 249 USD, is our standard license price per month. It's unlimited candidates, unlimited interviews, unlimited jobs. It's really your number of licenses that would scale with your usage. And then Connie asked, what would be considered high volume? Um, I think I kind of half answered that, where, it's funny, high volume it means something to the people that are doing it. And for those that aren't doing it, it's always a question. And so the way I like to answer it is if you are hiring for the same job again and again and again, or if you're hiring for a single job and you need multiple people. So that's how I define it. And then on top of that, I would say if you're receiving a high volume of applicants, and your challenge is you don't have the time or resources to engage, pre-screen, schedule, communicate, and if that's where you're feeling the pain or the pressure, Hello Hire will alleviate that and almost instantly. So that's kind of how I define it. I don't know, Sherry, if you've got
Yeah,
other.
no, that totally makes sense. I mean, I think if you get a high volume of candidates, it's doesn't matter if you're only hiring for one, this would really be beneficial. And so even if I'm going to hire for one, Hello Hire is our process. So I can tell you, even if I'm looking, for a supervisor that I don't hire as often as I do an agent, I still would go through the Hello Hire process because they're of the benefits of that.
Yeah, and again, this is details, but you can tweak different settings like interview time, overbooking. So again,
Right.
for some of our more senior positions that people do use the platform for or second interviews, there's the concept of no-shows is a lot less, or the impact of no-shows is a lot less. So there'd be 15, 30-minute slots at like a normal calendar booking system. And so it really, you can tweak it to your advantage. But again, for volume is where you'll feel the immediate, instant relief of pressure. In terms of volumes, can the monthly be canceled at any time, or is it an annual commitment? We generally offer annual subscriptions. But again, if there are certain scenarios or cases, we can model it out so that it makes sense. It is used for seasonal. A lot of companies that we work with have various seasonal ramps, but also steady state hiring through the year. And so we're able to kind of adjust the licenses and volume for those seasonal ramps throughout the year. So it's super flexible, and we're willing to you know, do what it takes to make sense so that you're getting ROI. And, we do commit uh, dedicated resources, training, onboarding, customer service, account management. And so, because there's a little bit of a investment from our side there, we generally do annual subscriptions, but we can scale it up and kind of tweak it to make it work for you. Nicole, we've used this platform for seasonal temp hiring and it has been amazing. Nicole, thank you. Appreciate those kind words. But yeah, to Nicole's point, it is many companies do use it for seasonal. And in fact, again, you'll find that that's where you'll get the big relief of pressure. Instead of saying, okay, all hands on deck, everybody leave your jobs, we're going to recruit for the next 2 weeks. You don't have to have the panic mode. Hello Hire just keeps it steady and consistent for you. And then you just, throughout the year are able to manage that just with, you just dial it down. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Sherry, thank you again so much for sharing your wisdom and your experience and everything with us. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, in our entire journey working with you, we've learned and evolved through this process with you. So thank you.
Yeah, you guys have been incredible in that way. I love how you put your pricing out on the website. There's no secrets. When we talk with you, we know what we're getting into. Sometimes I feel like there's 3, 4 calls to talk to people to even get to pricing. And then just the feedback. I mean, I've asked for things and within, a week, you're like, I did that for you. I tried this out. And there's actually some new features I haven't even tried yet in there that you're always thinking about. And I really appreciate that very much. It's changed our recruiting process and we're very grateful. So thank you.
Thank you. And again, thanks everyone for spending your time with us. We appreciate it and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.